Virgil, Virgil, mi hermano, thank you for that incredibly thoughtful and generous introduction, and a super big shout out to Miss Loretta, Kiara, Jessica, and the entire Aurora team just for making this space happen and for the invitation. That walk-up song, y'all, I'm gonna be 100% real with y'all. That walk-up song captures how I'm feeling right now. Now, I do know that there's a lot of anxiety in the world right now. I know there's a lot of uncertainty, but I firmly believe that we are gonna be all right. And I feel like I'm winning because I did have the pleasure some years ago, about 6 years ago to be exact, to grace this amazing stage by being one of the opening keynote speakers. And y'all know how it is, right? You're invited to speak, whether it's a workshop or anywhere it might be, and some folks, what you share might resonate, and you have some folks that talk with you, but you really don't know if what you share really hits. So first, I'm grateful to get invited back. So I'm absolutely winning because I got an invite back 6 years later, so I'm thankful for that. So in my excitement, right, and one of the things that I tend to do, because I do remember where there was a time where those invitations didn't actually come, right? I do not take that for granted. And this is the season, so I tell my daughter Bella, I go running to her because I'm elated. I'm like, Bella, guess what? I got invited back to speak at another conference. I haven't spoken in some time. And I'm like, it's really cool. And guess what? I get to actually moderate a conversation with young people. I'm like, your dad's still cool, right? Daddy's still cool. Bella, cerebral young lady, kind of goes, cool. So you're speaking at a conference and you've been asked to moderate with young people about the importance of education. She's like, Dad, we have this saying, truth over harmony. She goes, truth over harmony, Dad? I go, give it to me, truth over harmony. She said, your invitation isn't necessarily because you're cool. It's called inclusion. Right? Just took the wind out of it. What does she know? Right? Dad's cool. Dad is absolutely cool. But last time I was here, I did have this opportunity to share a little bit about the importance of how we as adults who have been called and have accepted the calling of working for and on behalf of our young people in their communities, and how we need to actually show up for them a little bit differently. And for those of you who weren't there 6 years ago, this is a little bit of what I shared at the closing of that keynote. Knowing who our students are is the first step in building community with and for them. And before we can truly talk about getting to a place around personalized learning, true personalized learning for every student, we have to know our students' stories. And to create the trust necessary to really hear our students' stories, as adults, we need to be willing and courageous enough to share our own stories, our own histories. Despite what many people might think, vulnerability is good pedagogy. And it is a reminder that as educators and teachers in the truest biblical definition of the word, which is to lead forward and raise up, it is important that we recognize and believe in the greatness and brilliance of all of our young people, regardless of where they come from, regardless of what they may have experienced, and the hardest part, regardless of what they may have done. Our students' demography does not equal their destiny. And to do this, what it's going to require is that we embrace a common sense that we've spent a lifetime ignoring. That as to be the best educators, leaders, policymakers, and influencers that we can be, is that we all must be unapologetically and relentlessly student-centered. Unapologetically and relentlessly student-centered. And that still holds true today. So again, my deep thanks to the Aurora team for centering young people in a time where there's discourse happening amongst us around what our young people need, but the airwaves aren't necessarily talking about it in a way that they should be. Feels oftentimes like the world's forgetting about education and about our young people. But we're not forgetting. And we and our friends are here to flip the script, and appropriately so are starting off with a conversation with some young people this morning. Some amazing learners who have had some really powerful learning experiences across their journey. Now, I believe in the same way that Virgil modeled this in his introduction on the power of introducing people, right? They should be deeply personal when they can be, and they should have meaning behind them. So I am going to introduce each one of these amazing young learners to you all. And my ask of this collective group is that we pivot from your conventional conference mode into a turn-up mode when I start introducing these young people. I'm so not playing either, right? Think of, it is Sunday, think of that church service, right? When you hear the good word. Think of a Beyonce concert and you're part of the Beehive and you're going nuts. Think about your favorite sports team winning the national championship, right? That's the type of energy that I think we should give these young people. Are y'all with me? All right. All right, here we go. First up. Here's a middle school student who has a quiet but impactful presence and an inspiring passion for discovery. This young man's love for learning goes beyond traditional academics. At his school, he's been able to explore interests that truly drive him, like his year-long project on budget travel, where he researched and presented ideas on affordable travel to his entire school community. He's known for his ability to listen to everyone's ideas and build a sense of unity in his groups. Now, y'all, he may be soft-spoken at first, but once he steps into the space, you'll see his compassion and leadership shine through, showing us all how powerful a calm, steady presence can be. Representing the Santa Monica Alternative Schoolhouse, better known as SMASH, please join me in welcoming Cam Louis Carter. Yep, we're going to have church today. Someone's going to testify. We're going to get up. Next up, someone who defines what it means to lead with empathy, authenticity, and strength. From her early days in high school, she has stood out not just for her drive, but for her powerful ability to bring others into a circle of belonging. In her school, she has become a leader and a mentor, welcoming newcomers and showing everyone what it means to be unapologetically themselves. Pero esta reina, her influence doesn't stop there. She's a thinker and a leader who finds joy in the process of learning, constantly examining not just what she knows, but how she can express it with clarity and power. Her journey reminds us that education is about more than just academics. It's about creating spaces for others to thrive. So please, welcome to the stage, representing the Fannie Lou Hamer Freedom High School in my hometown of the Bronx, the inspiring Jalen Santiago. That's the church section right here. Right here. Love y'all. Love y'all. And last, and certainly not least,
Funny how money changes.
they are a student and young leader whose presence speaks volumes. Someone with a voice so steady and strong that it's recognized by everyone who meets them. They found their grounding at the San Diego Met High School, where they interned with San Diego Pride, immersing themselves in a community that showed them the strength of representation, the power of being seen, and the freedom to be unapologetically authentic. A recent high school graduate and now a double major in ethnic studies and communications, they channel their passion for storytelling, social justice, and equity into everything they do. Y'all, please join me in welcoming someone who doesn't just speak truth to power, but uses that power to lift up everyone around them, the amazing Sofia Ervin Agudelo. See, I told y'all they were going to get up. I told you. Had nothing but faith in this room. How y'all feeling?
Feeling great. How y'all feeling?
Yes.
Feeling good.
It has been wonderful just getting some time together over the last couple of months, connecting with y'all. And we know we're running on time, so we're going to get to it because I know folks are really excited to hear from each of you about your experiences and the thoughts that you have around what it really means to be student-centered in this world and in this work. Going to start off with just an opening question and throw it out to whoever wants to go first. What does learner-centered education mean to you, and how has it shaped the way you see yourself as a student, but beyond that, as a member of your respective communities? So whoever would like to go first.
Let's see, I can jump in on that one first. First of all, hi everybody, good morning, great to see you all. Hi. What does learner-centered education mean to me? Well, I feel like I should preface this by saying that I come from a family of educators. So education has kind of been the family business. So it's sort of like something I grew up in. My mother's a principal, aunts, uncles, all teachers. So education has always been something that's very near and dear to my heart. Sort of going broader from that, I come from a community where education was something that we had to fight for and work for. And I come from a line of sacrifice that has worked hard, people who have given up their lives to put me in the position to be an educated person. So I think coming into that, one, I just have the love for education and having access to it. But what I really love about learner-centered education is, there's something interesting about education where it can be used to free people, but can also be used to constrain people and hold them down. So I think what's really interesting about learner-centered education is it's everlastingly freeing. The last thing it will do is tie you down. So I think just how much agency it gives me, not only over my life, but over my interests and sort of the knowledge I gain, that sort of means everything. It empowers me. It makes me excited. It makes me want to learn. It makes me love knowledge and love learning. That's why, university's been a very fun time because it's so much knowledge that you can take in at one time. But I think for me, it's freeing and it's liberating and it gives me sort of the power to choose what I want to learn. And, given that I come from a very long line of people where they didn't have that power, I'm very thankful that now I do have it to show them that their sacrifices were not lost.
Awesome. Thank you. Cam, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. Well, learner-centered education obviously means a lot to me because I've pretty much grown up in a learner-centered environment. I've been at SMASH since 2nd grade, which is most of my educational life. Something that really stood out to me about learner-centered education is all the choice you get over what you do and how you do it. For example, in my humanities class, which is kind of a blend of English and history, you usually get to choose if you want to do an essay, history notes, or no red ink. I think that's really important because you get to know yourself more as a learner. I'm really good in essay, but I'm not very good at history notes. And so that can be a very, very important resource going on later in life. Another thing I've learned from learner-centered education is that the teacher isn't the only resource. You can ask your students. They're all open for question. Even if they don't know the answer, they'll probably guide you to someone who does. So just be willing to ask your community. Your community is there to help you. And yeah, just don't be afraid. I see myself now after growing up in this learner-centered education environment as someone who's not afraid to ask questions, but also someone who's not afraid to give help to people who need answers. And yeah, I think that's a really important skill.
Awesome. Thank you, bro.
Oh, it's my turn. Hi, everyone. So the difference between me and Sophia and Cam is I'm new to this. I didn't come from a middle school that had learner-centered. So coming from a middle school and going to a high school that had learner-centered base was kind of an adjustment for me. It was hard at first, like not knowing myself and like knowing what I like. Like someone asked me, "What do you like?" I was stuck. So having that adjustment was really hard. But the more adjustments and the more of doing it was actually, I learned a lot about myself and like the peers around me, and like seeing that the teachers really do care about what I like and like knowing my identity. So yeah, just like being an independent learner and like a critical thinker, questioning what I want to do with my life and like helping my peers too. So, but beyond that, like being a member of my community, like just it put me in this place of being mindful around others, graceful, live with grace, and like just be overall kind to one another. And so yeah, learning about myself and learning how to do with others. So it could be a great skill.
Having had an opportunity to spend time at each of your respective schools, it is clear. Immediately once you enter the doors, you can feel the difference, right? This environment, of course, this focus on learning, but also on each young learner as a person and as a human in the space, which is clearly evident to kind of the young people that you are now. So just in future continues to be bright. Cam, I'm gonna come to you, bro.
All right.
All right, that's nothing but confidence right there. I heard that right. All right. You have been part of SMASH since, as you had mentioned, since second grade. You are now an 8th grader.
Yeah.
Doing big things. How has growing up, you talked about it a little bit, but I was hoping you can go into a little bit more. Growing up in a learner-centered environment shaped the way you think about learning and your future?
Yeah, so when I first heard this question, the first thing I really thought about was all the connections I was building and how much I was communicating with everyone at my school. Since I go to a PBL school, we're pretty much in partners for everything. And I'm usually put with partners that I don't really see eye to eye with all the time. I think, I might not like it when I'm in the partnership, but right now I know that it's a really, really good skill to have, to be able to communicate with people that you might not see eye to eye with or agree with. It can really impact your future to know, maybe as you go on for to know how to deal with coworkers that you don't agree with. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that everyone in this room...
You can say you know.
Okay. I know
you can say that.
That everyone in this room has worked with someone that they don't necessarily see eye to eye with. And I think knowing how to still be productive with someone you might not agree with or see eye to eye with is an incredible skill to have as you go later into high school, college, and beyond.
I took a pause because I feel like what you just shared is so important in this moment where there's so many divisive conversations happening. I just wanted that to sit. So I needed folks to, I know I heard the golf clap, but I just needed it to sit a little bit with folks because hearing that from someone so young, but yet so rich with knowledge and understanding of that is really important. Bro, you talked about PBL. right? Big emphasis on project-based learning. I'd love for you to share about a project. I know we had talked about this, about your project that, has had a lasting impact on you, and has helped you develop outside of the traditional classroom learning.
Right away, I gotta say the passion project I did about travel. Is there an image?
Yeah, the image, we'll pop the image right up for you, Cam, right now.
There is gonna, okay, so this image, and I think that's on your right, it's a picture of me presenting my passion project last year. My driving question was how to have fun on a trip while staying within budget. Though it may seem pretty easy just to pick a driving question like, oh, I like dogs or I like cats, so I'm just gonna pick that. You have to do a lot of exercises, a lot of slideshows, a lot of activities, presentations, so you can narrow down that that's something you're gonna really lock in on, because these passion projects are actually year-long projects, and so you don't want to pick something that you're gonna take, like, it's gonna be 3 months and you're already bored. So yeah, I chose travel. Then after you pick your driving question, you move into this research phase. We get to do these interviews, really cool, in-depth research. You get to read books about your topic. And then you take all of this gathered knowledge that you have and you compile it into a presentation. You can choose how you present it, what you present. Oh yeah, it's really cool. And so that's me presenting my project at the end of the year.
Love it.
The picture on your left is me sitting outside of the Anne Frank house, which is in Amsterdam, reading the Diary of Anne Frank. When I saw this photo, what I really thought was like this connection between projects, because projects, fun, and academic learning. Let me explain more about that. So projects, this has to do with projects because we were actually lucky enough to get these really cheap tickets, because last year, and it was a leap year, so we got leap day tickets to go to Amsterdam, really cheap. And I was able to take all this information I've learned from my travel project and actually use it on an actual real world trip. So that was the project aspect. The fun aspect is, I'm on a trip, I'm really, really passionate about trips. And then the academic aspect was that we were actually reading the Diary of Anne Frank in school. And so it was really cool to connect the dots between projects, fun, and academic learning. And that was really the thing that resonated with me as I looked at this photo over and over again.
Love it. Now, you are an 8th grader, and you've got a big decision coming up.
Yeah.
Right? Big transition. How do you believe your educational experiences at SMASH have prepared you for the next phase of your education journey?
Something that I feel like SMASH definitely helps me with, that's going to be a very valuable skill as I go on to high school, is the ability to feel comfortable advocating for myself. Like if I'm stuck on a project, or if I'm stuck on math, or I'm stuck just in general, the ability to say, hey, I need help, can you help me, is very, very powerful to have. And also the ability to advocate for myself if I'm feeling uncomfortable, just saying like, hey, this person is making me uncomfortable, please help. Yeah, I think that ability is very, very important for high school and even beyond.
Yeah, and I believe it's gonna serve you well. Thank you, Cam. I appreciate you. Sup, Jalen? Hey. All right, let's talk about Fannie Lou.
Oh.
Right, so there's a deep history of activism and empowerment at your school. Appropriately so, given who your school is named after. How do you feel your school's focus on social justice influenced your perspective on education and your role in making change within your community?
Whoa, that's a great question, actually. Well, my school focusing on social justice has changed my viewpoint on the whole education in general, making me realize that learning isn't just about equipping knowledge. It's more about understanding and talking about the inequalities around in my community or outside the community. Empowering me to become an active speaker and speak up, like what Cam said, be an advocate for myself, but also my peers. And as you mentioned, Fannie Lou is one of the most powerful activists, woman rights activism. But what she did empowered me also to like speak up about situations that are not really talked about, pushing me to be more active in my community and like, can I talk about
Yeah, let's talk
photos?
about your project.
So like, for instance, in the first, I think it's on the left.
Yeah, let's bring up that.
So that was actually a program I'm working with in the school, Summer Youth Employment. I don't know if y'all heard about it, but it's where I get paid, young students get paid to work. But that's one of the programs that Fannie Lou offers me. But in that photo, I was actually planting basil for the garden. And there's like a little farm market. That's something Fannie Lou also offered to, in her time, she had a farm. So I felt really connected with the world, the earth, and plants, learning about plants, being a herbalist for the day was really nice, and just connecting with all. And for the right photo, it's also one of the programs that I was in, JJ Grant. That program was kind of different from that program than the Bronx River one. It was more about emotional learning development for young adults. So coming from the Bronx, you know, the tragedies that I hear and like about a lot of not being emotionally supported. So that group was more about teen empowerment. And we actually in that photo was giving out flowers to adults in the street and just asking how your day was and how are you okay? Like just hearing people's stories and hearing the struggles and like the resilience they've been throughout their history. It was just really inspiring, and getting to see people's emotions. Some people even came up crying, thanking them for asking how their day was because they needed that. But like I said in the beginning, connecting with your peers is like really important, and just hearing them out. So yeah, be graceful, be mindful of who you're around, and just know yourself and know what you represent. So yeah.
Love it.
Self-expression.
Now, a lot of folks, when they hear about a number of communities like that one that we share of the Bronx, there are certain assumptions that folks make about our communities, right?
Yeah.
Some of them may be true, right? But there are a lot of things that are sensationalized about our beloved borough and our beloved Bronx. But it's also a place filled with love and like amazing people and talented individuals, right? I was hoping, Jalen, you can speak a little bit about the ways your learner-centered experience and these approaches have helped you confront some of the challenges or inequities that maybe exist within your community. Like, can you share, maybe if you could share an example or two?
Of course. So a way that Learner Center helped me approach those issues was just honestly speaking up about them and being a public speaker. Being a public speaker. So for example, like a lesson that I was taught my freshman year into Fannie Lou was the Bronx unit. So that unit was basically about learning about the Bronx and the history behind the Bronx. But coming into that, I was like, I don't need this lesson. I'm from the Bronx. I've been here my whole life. I know what I know. No, I was so wrong. Like learning about the Bronx fires and the Cross Bronx Expressway, sorry. But yeah, so like speaking up about those issues, so a workshop that was actually done in the Bronx that we work with, they're called The Point. The workshop was actually called, sorry if I say this wrong, Resistencia, resilience in Spanish. So where that was kids doing art projects and poems about their issues that they have become like came up, their childhood. So that workshop was basically like a little get together. It's open to the community, so they saw a lot of our young people's artwork. So the piece, actually, the art piece that was presented was a mask. So that mask represents either their culture, their identity, or the fears that they have or that they've gone through. So that was a form of resilience. And some did poems, like including myself. I'm not really the art type of girl, so I wrote a poem speaking about the pains that are within our community and the pains that I've gone through growing up. But that project made me realize that I'm proud from where I come from, and I shouldn't be ashamed of where I come from. So I'm proud that I'm from the Bronx, and also connecting with my fellow students and seeing that we have the similarities, we go through problems, and we're all the same in the end. So yeah, going through that. I'm done, y'all.
Thank you, Jalen.
You're welcome.
Soph, let's go to you.
Nothing much.
You're a recent graduate, now a college student, so you've had the unique opportunity and experience of seeing both sides, right? And being at a very learner-centered high school and going to a more conventional university. Reflecting back, how has your learner-centered experience in high school shaped your transition to college, hopefully helped shape your transition to college life?
Yeah, definitely. In the past year and a half that I've been in university, I've been doing a lot of reflecting back to high school, just sort of what was I taught back then? Or what was the advice I was given when I need to use it? And I think the biggest realization that kept coming back when I did that reflection was I don't think I would have been able to do that transition if it wasn't for the learner-centered experience. High school was a very transformational time for me. I think more so than some of my, fellow classmates, just because of how much opportunity for exploration I was given, and just sort of how much freedom and agency over my own education I was given. So a common theme that I've noticed upon being in university, I'm sure a lot of us can relate, is, people not really knowing what the heck they want to do. I've had a lot of friends that are I declared this major because my dad told me I should do it and he was in it, and now I'm really not having fun. Or I had a discussion with a senior the other day that I'm taking a class with, and they explained that they're majoring in business, but that was honestly their biggest regret in their life, because they explained, they were I don't have fun doing this. I like doing music. I wish I majored in music, but my teacher told me I should go into finance because it's gonna make me more money. So I think a big way that my experience is being in a learner-centered environment is, one, making decisions for myself, taking classes because I know it'll make me happy. But also on top of that, when I'm taking classes, I'm not necessarily questioning my field of study, but it's more reaffirming my field of study. So actually one of the photos that came to mind when I was thinking about this is, here, let's see if it's gonna come up in a second. So that photo right here on the left, that was actually taken in one of the classes I'm currently taking this quarter. So I'm currently in a digital filmmaking class, which has been, honestly, I think one of the best classes I've ever taken in my life. I'm having so much fun. We get to work hands-on with cameras. I plan to go into entertainment storytelling, so I really wanna tell stories for the big screen. So, getting the applied skills of I'm screenwriting and I'm working in a team and we're doing costuming and storyboarding. It's just been such a fun experience, and every single time I work on something, I'm this is what I'm meant to do. I'm doing the right thing. I'm really happy right now. So just feeling reaffirmed and knowing yes, I'm on the right track and I'm gonna keep pushing towards that. And also just sort of I feel the burden or the weight lifted off my shoulders I feel from it has been really nice as well, just because I'm not constantly questioning, well, should I take this class? Maybe I'll like psychology so then I can switch into psychology. But it's more no, I'm ready to hit the ground running. What's the next class you need me to complete? What's the next upper div I need to take? So I think because of that weight being lifted off, I feel I can really enjoy the social aspect of the college experience a lot more. So this other photo, this is actually me with some of my fellow student ambassadors. So I'm a student ambassador for Santa Clara University. So what that means is I get to give fun little tours. If you guys know anybody considering university, come give us a visit. Maybe you'll get me as a tour guide. But no, it's just a lot of fun, just such an amazing group of people. You know, we all come from different fields of study, so it's so cool just to like learn what other people are learning, but also just like make that connection. And I always say, like, I say this on tours, like, school's just so much more fun for me now because like I could be walking to class and I run into like 5 people I know from class and stuff like that, and like we stop and catch up. So it's been nice, you know. So from learner-centered education, I feel a lot more affirmed in my path, and it lets me enjoy my experience more. And I think, you know, sort of what traditional models can learn from this is sort of like, you know, there's nothing to lose by giving students the opportunity to explore an internship. You know, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Oh, they realize they don't like something, and then they decide, okay, I'm not going to do that. So, you know, there's not really a situation where anybody loses in this. So I think, you know, because of that, there's only, like, you can only go up with it. You know, I don't see what there is stopping us. And I feel like we can definitely expand it so more students get that opportunity.
Love it. So I know we're coming up on our time, and I want to make sure that we get to this last closing question because I think it's a really important one, given where we are and that it's Sunday and that we have a U.S. presidential. We just have elections, period, not just a presidential election. We have elections coming up, and sadly, most of the conversation around education is happening amongst educations. We're not hearing a lot about that, as I shared earlier, through the medias or through, you know, a lot of the national candidates. But if each of you could speak to the next president of these United States, what would you say about the importance of making education more learner-centered? Who'd like to go first on
Can I take this one?
Go for it.
Let's go, Jalen.
So if I could speak to the future president and say why learner-centered is important, I would say it's for our future, because we are the future. Empowers young adults to take initiative into what they want to do with their lives, and deepen their knowledge once again, and take what they learn and give it to the world. Yeah, motivate them to be that change and see the change that they want to do, because we set the tone. We are the future. So that's pretty much.
Indeed. Cam, I see you leaning up. I've seen you've been leaning
Ready,
up a few times, bro. I know. All yours.
If I could talk to the president, I would start by saying, Mr. or Mrs. President, it's time for children to start being able to control their education. Because I think having like adults run the children's education is just not in an effective enough way. I think you are the only person who knows you as a learner and as a person. I think that's very important to know. Like, people may think they know you as a learner, but do they really know you as someone who likes to write essays but doesn't like history notes? Do they really see you as who you truly are as a learner? Another thing I was thinking about after I heard this question was about each learner-centered school, or maybe not all of them, but most of them have an aspect of a study of something you're passionate about, whether it's an internship or project or it's an extracurricular that the school offers. All of them have a way of really discovering something about yourself, discovering what you're passionate about. For me, we started projects at, I think, 3rd grade, yeah. And so to have that knowledge of something you're passionate about from 3rd grade going up, it's really, really important. I was just hearing Sophia talk about how some people choose a major and then realize they don't like it at all, and they hate it. And so I think having that knowledge of what you want to do or at an early age can be really powerful as you advance through high school and college.
So, bring us home.
What wouldn't I say to the next president, Lord? Let's see. I also just voted for the first time a few days ago, so I'm very excited. Thank you. Yeah. let's see, yeah. On the topic of education, I think sort of echoing what Jalen said, we are literally your future, so start investing in us as such. I think if we want to tell the rest of the world that we're this land of opportunity, like come as you are, you can be anything you want here, I think we need to start reflecting that in our children, and I think we need to start telling them that. I think unfortunately, especially in the last few years, education has become a little bit more of a privilege than it is a given right, which isn't right to me. So I think we need education to be more accessible, more equitable, more affordable, just because there are some groups of people in this country that have not been given access to that right, which I think we are severely underserving those communities by doing that. So I think by, giving us sort of the reins to chart our own future is really crucial to creating a successful future generation for America and for our country, to just sort of come out stronger. And I think also just valuing the opinions and the minds of young people. I think talking to young people is really interesting because one, we're gonna give it to you how it is. But also I think just because of how young we are, we don't really know any boundaries or limits. It's like sky's the limit a little bit. Just sort of like the charm that you see in kids' eyes, or not even kids, but young people's eyes, when they talk to you, that's something that's really special. And I think also going on top of that, viewing us as humans and not just accessories to your own success, if that makes sense. I think far too often, especially now, students are viewed as an accessory for a statistic. Look at the student I taught, they're doing so well. Look at how good we're all doing. Or look at this number, graduation numbers are up, we're doing so good. And I think turning away from us being used to make you look good, but rather investing in us so we can make ourselves feel good.
And that's where we would say around my way, that is a word right now that was just dropped. That is a full word. Few things just to kind of bring it home. For us, the lovely adults that have been called to do this work, let's make sure we continue to involve young people in conversations about young people. Not as a nicety, not at the margins, but truly centering them in ways that they deserve to be centered. They clearly have something to say. Let's continue to make sure that we listen, learn, and lean into them as partners, which means, again, thinking about when we say we want young people to be at our conference, the beautiful way that the Aurora folks have done here is ensuring that there's a way to have them there, creating the spaces and making it absolutely, in some cases, mandatory that sessions include that young people are part of those sessions. And of course, as we heard, y'all know what to do on Tuesday. All right, make sure we're there. Y'all join me in giving a hand for Cam, Jaylyn, and Sophia.